King Vikramaditya, a brave and noble ruler, walked steadily through the silent forest under the dark sky. The sound of the wind moved through the trees. King Vikramaditya's golden crown glimmered faintly in the moonlight. On his strong shoulders hung Betal, the pale and thin ghost with the glowing red eyes and a teasing smile. Betal laughed loudly and said, "O King Vikram, your courage never fades." King Vikram replied calmly, "I will carry you without a word this time." Betal said, "We shall see that. Listen to another strange tale this time, O King Vikramaditya." King Vikram kept walking in silence and was ready to hear the next story. Long time ago, there was a small kingdom called Vardhanpur. In that kingdom, there lived two Brahmin brothers, Ramakant and Somkant. Ramakant, the elder brother, was about 35 years old. He was calm, wise, and kind hearted with gentle eyes. He lived a quiet life, teaching children and helping the poor villagers. His younger brother Somkant was about 30 years old. Somkant was ambitious and clever. He always dreaming of fame and success. One day, Somkant said to his brother, "Oh brother, our life here is wasted. Let us go to the royal court of King Chandradev. He rewards talented people with wealth and respect." Ramakant smiled gently and said, "Somkant, contentment is the greatest wealth. What will you do with gold if peace leaves your heart?" But Somkant shook his hand and said, "Peace will come after success." The next morning, he packed his things and left for the capital city. Ramakant watched him go, praying for his brother's safety. Years passed by. Somkant became famous at King Chandradev's court. He worked as an astrologer and scholar, wearing silk clothes and precious rings. The king trusted him deeply and gave him gifts of gold. Meanwhile, Ramakant still lived in his small hut, teaching children under a tree. He helped the poor with whatever food he had. His days were peaceful, though his life was simple. One day, Princess Madhumati, King Chandradev's only daughter, fell very sick. She was about 22 years old and was graceful with long dark hair and kind eyes. No royal physician could cure her illness. The king grew worried and called Somkant to the palace. Somkant studied the stars carefully and said, "Maharaj, the princess will recover only if she marries a learned and a virtuous man." The king said, "Find such a man, and I will bless the marriage myself." Somkant thought deeply and smiled. Who could be more virtuous than my brother Ramakant? Messengers were sent to bring Ramakant from his village. He came humbly, wearing plain clothes and a calm smile. Standing before the king, Ramakant bowed respectfully. "Maharaj, I am only a poor teacher. I do not deserve a princess," he said. The king replied kindly, "Virtue makes a man royal, not the wealth or birth. You shall be my son in law." The royal wedding took place with a great celebration. The city was decorated with flowers and lights. After the wedding, Princess Madhumati quickly recovered. The kingdom rejoiced, and the king blessed both of them. Ramakant and Madhumati lived happily and peacefully. But soon, fate took a cruel turn. A terrible famine struck the kingdom. The rivers dried up, crops withered, and people went hungry. King Chandradev called Somkant urgently. "Somkant, find out the cause of this disaster." Somkant prayed and studied the stars once again. In his dream, a divine voice said, "The famine will end only when a man sacrifices his life willfully." Somkant was shocked, but he said the truth to the king. The king announced the message to his people. Fear spread across the land. Ramakant heard about it and said to his wife, "If one life can save thousands, I must go." The princess cried, "No, my lord, please don't leave me." Ramakant smiled gently and said, "A true man must do his duty." He went to the temple, bathed in the holy water, and prayed. Before the sacred fire, he took his last breath peacefully and cut his head with a sword. That very night, the rains poured down heavily, the famine ended. The people rejoiced, but the princess wept endlessly. When Somkant heard about what had happened, guilt filled his heart. "My brother died because of my words," he cried. "I cannot live with this sin." He went to the same temple, knelt before his brother's body, and ended his life with the same sword. The next morning, the whole city mourned. Princess Madhumati sat beside the two bodies and cried bitterly. Her tears fell like pearls upon the sacred floor. She prayed deeply to Goddess Durga. "O Divine Mother, please bring them back to life." The goddess appeared in a bright light holding a golden trident. "O child, your devotion has moved me. Take this holy water, place each head upon its rightful body, and sprinkle it." The princess trembled and lifted the heads carefully. But in her sorrow, she placed them wrongly. Ramakant's head on Somkant's body and Somkant's head on Ramakant's body. Then she sprinkled the holy water. The goddess smiled and vanished. Both men slowly opened their eyes. They stood up, confused and speechless. "Brother," they both said at the same time. They realized that their bodies were exchanged. The princess looked at them in shock. "Oh God, whose wife am I now?" she cried. The king was speechless. The court debated endlessly, but no one could decide that. "Now, tell me, O King Vikram, who is the husband of the princess Madhumati?" King Vikramaditya thought for a while and said, "The head holds the mind and the soul. The man with Ramakant's head is truly Ramakant, the rightful husband of the princess." Betal laughed loudly. "Ha ha 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 ha. You are truly wise, O King Vikram. But since you have spoken, I must return to my tree again." Before King Vikram could stop him, Betal flew away into the dark night. Vikram sighed but continued his journey without fear. The forest wind blew softly once again. King Vikram's face was calm and determined. Betal's laughter echoed faintly through the darkness. The wise king walked on, knowing that another story is awaited. The lesson of the tale lingered in his mind. True identity lies not in the body, but in the soul. The head, the seat of thoughts and wisdom, defines who we are. Virtue and knowledge never die, they live beyond time and beyond flesh. Ramakant's wisdom saved his people. Somkant's repentance showed his love. Princess Madhumati's devotion moved the gods themselves. King Chandradev learned that power without virtue is empty. Goddess Durga showed that faith brings miracles. And King Vikramaditya learned another lesson in truth. The story of the two Brahmin brothers lived on forever. Thank you so much for watching. Jai Hind.